Hello and welcome back to another video on the Wrestling and to another edition of AEW Collision Out of 10. And of course it is a big episode of Collision today because it is Wrestle Dream coming up next weekend. So yeah, we've got a lot on the card this week, including Eddie Kingston versus the Base Mortos, and to kick things off, Kota Ibushi versus Josh Alexander after a quick series of backstage promos. Because the show is pre-tape, news of Ibushi's injury was already out there, so a slight sense of dread as the match started. He's had a rough few years and seeing him go down made it sad. That said, both guys put in a good effort before the injury took place. Alexander's been mostly relegated to multi-man matches, so it's nice to see him get a chance to work a big star. We won't be providing a grade for this match due to the injury, but everything they did leading up to that moment looked good. And as Alexander was preparing for something onto the top rope, Ibushi fell to the floor, landing awkwardly. He caught himself on the barricade. Because the damage was done, Ibushi was cancelled out because he couldn't continue them and stretchered out the arena. Mark Davis returned to attack Ibushi after the match, but Omega made the save and to him and Alexander out. We wish Ibushi the best in his recovery, and yeah, that's about all there is to say. As we then moved on to the Acclaim taking on Big Bill and Brian Keith. Bowens and Caster kept tagging themselves in and out because they wanted to start the match, but ended up being Caster. The Bad Apple and Best Wrestler Alive traded some quick takedowns before Bowens tagged himself in. However, once Bill tagged in, neither man wanted to face him and kept tagging out. The former Acclaim members managed to work together for a short time to take control, but their issues got the better of them. This was a match designed to tell a story, not steal the show. It had some good action in places, but most of it was them trying to outdo each other. Even though they could barely stand each other, they managed to get the win when Bowens nailed Keith with the Molly Whoop. And I think it's going to be an intriguing long story. Maybe not the best to have Big Bill and Keith defeated to a team like this, but yeah, there we go, 6 out of 10. As we then got TJ in action against local jobbers, and yeah, obviously it wasn't competitive at all, and TJ scored an easy win in a couple of minutes, and there's not much more to say than that really. As we then moved on to Triangle Madness versus Tony Storm, Chris Statlander and Harley Cameron. Storm took control against Seckler to get things started, but the Toxic Spider quickly recovered and hit a series of kicks. Storm took her down with a cess press before bringing in Cameron. We saw all 6 women taking turns in the ring, but they didn't rush from tag to tag, so it didn't really feel chaotic. They fought through the break into the next segment, so they had plenty of time to make this an entertaining performance. It had some slow moments and a couple of awkward spots, but they put in a lot of effort. Storm and Stat did a good job paying up their storyline, but in the end it was Seckler who won with the spear to Cameron. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. It was an okay match without really being that dramatic with too many talking points. As we then got the MXM TV taking on LFI, Rush Guevara and Jalistico. Johnny and Jalistico started for the teams, and they had a quick exchange before Mansoor and Guevara took each over. The first few minutes were just everyone taking tags. Once Rush tagged in, the pace picked up. He no-sold some of the offense from NXM as he went on a rampage. This quickly turned into a one-sided affair, and Guevara got the win with a swanton on Mansoor. This was decent, but there wasn't much to it. LFI got a decisive win, which wasn't surprising, but a more competitive fight, yeah, would have been better. I'd like to see them do more of NXM. 5 out of 10. As we then moved on to Eddie Kingston versus the Beast Mortos, since Mortos was already at ringside. Kingston almost hit his finisher within the first minute, but once Mortos found his footing, he took control as the show went to break. We returned to see Mad King beginning to make a comeback with Suicide Dive. Mortos missed a corkscrew and gave Kingston the opening he needed. He nailed Mortos with a spinning back fist for the pin and win. Hook came out to congratulate his partner, and this was a solid little match. But yeah, at the same time, not a huge amount to write home about from here. So yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. As we then moved on to our main event, which saw Megan Bain team up with FTR to take on Nightingale, Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight. The women's started the match and squared up before locking up. The powerhouses pushed each other around in a lock-up, but neither woman would relent. All 6 competitors did a great job making this the best match of the night. The growing feud between FTR and Jet Speed was the main focus, but Willow and Babe made sure no one was overlooking them. Bain ended up hitting a few moves on Bailey, and Nightingale hit several on Hellwood and Wheeler. The crowd was loving it and chanted "This is awesome" at the interchange action. It looked like the babyfaces might win with 3 single leg crowds at the same time, but the heels escaped and Bain was able to secure the win by pinning Willow. As I said, this is a match of the night. Lots of intrigue stuff throughout, and I think probably the right winners too. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. And overall, Collision, yeah, was perfectly down the middle, serviceable episode of pro wrestling. It had a little bit of everything, so there's good stuff for everyone. Most of the matches were decent. FTR and Jet Speed kind of stole the stow, and obviously it was marred by the Ibushi injury. It's a shame, but I think with Wrestle Dream quickly approaching, I'm very intrigued by the card. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.